Greetings, greetings, greetings. I am Nicole Everett, the host of Conversations with Nicole, a talk show based here in Tallahassee, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And do I have a treat for you? We are having a virtual meet and greet with Dr. Pamela Hightower, candidate for Leon County Public Schools. Now, Dr. Hightower and I go back to Caroline Brevard Elementary School, of which my son was a student at Caroline Brevard. And I knew her before she was doctor. Okay, so we go way back. So join me in welcoming Dr. Pamela Hightower. Welcome, Dr. Hightower.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for having me. How's my baby doing?
He is doing well. I spoke with him this evening, and he was so happy that you were going forth with this feat, this dream, this great accomplishment of superintendent of schools for Leon County. So
It is interesting that he started with me at my first principal job, and I'm meeting with his mom as I
I
come to
know.
full fruition, my superintendent's run.
Yes, I tell you, it is a small world, and it's
Yes.
funny how things, turn, as the world turns here in Tallahassee. Well, anyway, enough about that. I want the viewers to hear about you. So tell the folks where you're from. Tell them about your history in Leon County or as an educator, and why you're running for superintendent of schools.
Yes, I am from Jefferson County.
Mhm.
I have lived in Tallahassee for the past 40 plus years.
Okay.
I am a candidate because I see the need for change, and I understand how to move this district forward.
All right.
I want every child, just like Jabari, I want every child, regardless of their zip code, regardless of their socioeconomic status, regardless of their ethnicity, to have a high quality education, a chance for a promising and a great career, just like Jabari. I
Mm,
want that for all 34,000 of my Leon County students.
wow. So give the folks a little bit of your history in terms of how you got started in
My,
education.
ed- I,
Dr. Hightower?
I missed half of that question.
Oh, okay. No, I said give them a little bit about your history in terms of how you got started in
Okay,
education.
I would love to. I have a master's and a bachelor's degree in education, elementary education. I have a PhD in educational leadership.
Mhm.
As I said, I've spent 40 plus years in education. I have served at every level. I've been a parent, volunteer, a paraprofessional, a teacher, primary specialist, assistant principal, and a principal at the
Mhm.
school level. At the district level, I've served as the McKinney-Vento Homeless Coordinator, the Title I and Special Service Director, and most recently, it's consultant working with our DNF schools. Um, I've had a great career. I
Mhm.
have worked along some of the best teachers and administrators in this district. For the last 3 years, I have worked with DNF schools, working with some great principals and teachers at Oak Ridge, Hartsfield, Springwood, and Astoria Park to move their school grade from a D to a C, and from Pineview from an F to a C. And
Mm.
2 years ago, Riley Elementary School, we were able to move that school with the help of some great teachers and staff and administrators there from from a D to a C. And I think one of my proudest moments, one of them, because there are many, was in 2003 and 2004,
Mhm.
when I asked then Superintendent Marford for the challenge to go to the only F school in the district at that time, and it was Leonard Weston School. And I asked if I could go and take one teacher from each grade level, and he allowed me that opportunity. And that was one of the highlights of my career because we went over there, and with that wonderful staff, we were able to move that school from F to a B and get invited to the capital with then Governor Jeb Bush. And people ask, how did you do that? We didn't change the children. We just changed the way we looked at the children and the way we worked with them. We progress monitored, we celebrated their successes, and we made them believe that they could do it. And
Wow.
I know that we can do it at that school, we can do it at all of our schools because I believe that every child has it in him to learn. It is our job as educators to pull it out. And I tell you, I put the teachers in Leon County and the administrators against anybody in the state of Florida because I know they can do it.
All right. Now that is tremendous. I didn't know that. So you asked to go to Wesson
Yes, I did.
when they were F?
Yes, I did.
Wow. So that means you're not afraid of a fight, huh?
I'm not afraid of a challenge.
Okay. I love it. I love it. So listen, for all of you who are watching, this is a virtual meet and greet. So I need you to treat this as if Dr. Hightower was at a reception hall or someone's living room and you were meeting her or greeting her for the first time, or if you know her, give her a shout out. Let her know, what you think about the campaign. Wish her well. Give her some feedback. So we have Patricia Miller Manning said Dr. Hightower is totally committed to the success of all children. Love it. Love it. Love it. So Dr. Hightower, tell the folks why you're running. I know you said you want some change within the Leon County school system, but tell them what your platform is in terms of the things that you plan to tackle once you get in.
First of all, I want to make sure that our students are in a safe environment. So I want to provide a safe and nurturing environment for our students to learn, and for our teachers, a supportive and nurturing environment for our teachers and all of our employees. I believe that when we support them, we make sure that they excel. So I want to make sure that we're supporting them and giving them a safe, caring environment with the resources that they need. I want to make sure that we're addressing the whole child, their social, emotional, physical, and mental needs. And when I say mental needs, I want to make sure that we're looking at some of the mental illness that our children experience, some of the trauma that they're experiencing, that we have trained trained mental health counselors in our schools to work with our students,
Mm,
as well as going into our communities. I know our African American families really have a hard time sometimes looking at the mental health issues, because that's not something we grew up with knowing about mental health and how to address that. So I think we need to educate our parents so that we can all make sure that our students are learning and achieving at a high level.
mm,
Secondly, I would like to make sure that we close the achievement gap. And we have an achievement gap, and especially in reading, achievement in reading. Our third grade students, at least about 39–40% of our third grade students, as of the last FSA, are reading below grade level. That's just unacceptable. I shared with someone the other day, when I became a teacher, and I would work all day. My dad would work all day driving trucks, and he would come to my adult ed class. And my dad learned to read in my class. So reading is really important to me.
mm,
And so I want to make sure if my dad could learn to read in his 50s, then I know that our boys and girls, because he had that same drive and determination that he has passed on to all of us.
mm,
Next thing I like to do is recruit and retain qualified, highly qualified teachers.
mm,
And I want to do that by making sure we're giving affordable health to them, that we're giving them salaries that we say they're essential workers. Let's pay them like they're essential workers. Let's
mhm,
recognize them like they're essential workers. I also want to put a future teacher program in at our high school so that we can start to grow our own teachers. If we can get students in our high schools to start looking at education and graduate with an AA in 2 years and then go on to college, we can start to grow our own students. I had a couple of students at Bond Elementary School to do just that.
good.
I went to one graduation on Thursday night from Rickards, and that weekend her graduation was on from TCC with her AA. I have two students that I know that did that from our school, from Bond. So we can do that with those students. We can do it for all of our students. We just got to give them the opportunity and make sure that we're those things that are out there for them. There are
Mm,
many other things that I want to do, but I want to make sure that we appreciate and show our teachers that we appreciate them. And I think right now, this country say that they're essential workers. That is something we as educators have known always, that our teachers, our employees are essential, from the bus driver that picks them up, to
mm,
the cafeteria people that serve them, to the
yeah,
teachers, to the custodian. We're all essential. And I told my teachers and staff at Bond and all of my schools, the most important people in that school, the most important people you will meet in that school are the parents and the students, because the school exists because of the parents and the students in that
mhm,
school. So those are some things I want to do. I want to make sure, and I'm going to go through the other ones kind of quickly. We want to make sure we continue to provide professional development opportunities for our teachers and our
mhm,
staff. Increase the graduation rate. Our traditional graduation rate right now is at 59%. That's
mhm,
unacceptable. We've got to increase our graduation rate. And we got to also make sure that we are making sure that our students are graduating from college or career ready. They may not always go to college, but there are many careers out there that if we help them to channel those through some of those careers, I tell you, every time I call a plumber, that's a lot of money. Every time we,
Mhm.
so we need to make sure we are sending our students
Mhm.
to those vocational. We talk about the digital divide. That is something as a Title I principal I have lived for the last 20 plus years. I think the pandemic has unmasked some of those things I, as a Title I principal, have known for a long time. We've known for a long time that we had a digital divide. We also have an academic divide. We need to make sure that we are providing the fiscal and the human resources that our students and our teachers need in all of our schools. And we have a pocket of all students in every school in Leon County that needs that extra support, not only in our Title I schools. I worked at Clarn Lakes. I know that we have students in every one of our schools. I was fortunate this year to work at Connolly Elementary School. So we need to make sure that we're giving extra resources to those schools that need it to make sure that all of our students are excelling. And then I want to also look at our students. We have a lot of our students who are being suspended from school. We've
Hmm.
got to keep them in school. And so we want to look at that as well. And I could go on and on.
Well, well, let me interrupt and say, what do you believe the role of the community is in assisting with, bridging that divide?
I can tell you from experience, at my school at Bond and at Weston, this community embraced us. We had over 100 volunteers from FAMU, from
Mm-hmm.
Florida State, that was there every day mentoring our students. We had our churches to reach out to us. Jacob Chapel Church reached out to us. Several other, I don't want to start calling names because I'll forget
Yeah.
some, so I shouldn't say it. But
Yeah.
all of our churches reached out to us. We had fraternities and sororities that reached out to us. I started an all-male academy at Bond,
Mm.
and every child, every boy, and that's from kindergarten through fifth grade, was afforded the opportunity to go to several things. We did the springtime Tallahassee, we did the FAMU parade, we did convocation, every home game at FAMU, and every young man had a shirt and a tie and khaki pants because our community made sure that that happened. When we were F or D school, I had business partners that came every Friday. We would have our assessments, and those students who did well every Friday, those students were those business partners would make sure that they came. Sometimes it was bikes, sometimes it was a computer, sometimes it was just ice cream. But we celebrated their success all along the way. Not only did we celebrate their success, we celebrated our teachers. Their names would go into the basket, and we would pull out for a gift card. So we celebrated their success, and I think that's what we've got to get back to. Also, we got to make sure that we are looking at closing our fifth grade trip, exposing our children.
Mm-hmm.
I know at Carolyn Bavard, all of our, we made sure every year that we exposed our children outside of things of Tallahassee. We took a trip every year. Now, when I see my students in the stores now, that's the one of their highlights. They remember their trip to Disney. They remember the trip to the MLK in Atlanta. So
Yeah.
we got to do, and our community embraced us and made sure that those things happen for all of our children.
Mm-hmm. So, you mentioned the great teachers, and not just the teachers, but all of the school staff, all playing a part in helping the children to be successful. But parent involvement is important as well. And sometimes there are parents that just, for whatever reason, don't have it to give in terms of support. You know, I know a lot of times people can, that the thought is that the school is supposed to fix it, in terms of whatever the children are going home or whatever the children are dealing with, but they got to go home, and that's a whole nother environment that they may have to contend with. So any thoughts on maybe some support that can be given to the families of the children?
Yes, there are a couple of things. Parent involvement, we have to look at differently. Like I said, my dad drove truck. He
Mm-hmm.
got home after he couldn't make it to PTO meeting. He couldn't make that. My mom cleaned. My mom was a maid. She cleaned houses. She couldn't make it to PTO meeting. But my mom and my dad made sure that when we went to school, that we were respectful. Our homework was done, and all of those things. And if we didn't, it was taken care of when we got back home. So,
Mm-hmm.
parent involvement may not be that you can come to school to every PTO meeting, but you can make sure the kids are at school on time, ready to learn. And what we have to do is we got to go into the community. As a principal, I took my staff. We got on a bus and we rode through the community so we could see where our children were coming from. It gave us a whole different appreciation when it was raining and kids didn't get to school until after the rain because they had to walk. They
Mm,
had to stand out and wait for the buses because a lot of them had the bus covered areas. So
mm,
it gave us a whole, so we did that several years. We would get in the bus, go out, and we walk into the project. We go let them know that school is starting. We are here to help. So meeting them where they are, going into the community at 1010 Basin, when I was at Carolyn Bavar, we
mm,
went over, we put a tent up. We had the workshop there. I
mm,
started one of the first community centers at 1010 Basin Street, where parents were, we could have the workshops right there in the community. And I think COVID-19 is helping us to go back and it's going to take the whole community to
mm,
educate our students. We need our churches. We need our community centers. We need all of those persons working together to go back in the community. I would love to see us now to help close this achievement gap, make little hubs where we can, just like we're doing at school, we do the social distance, but we're using our churches, we're using our community centers to do
mm,
that after school tutorial with our students that we used to do. So we
mm,
can continue to close that achievement gap. And likewise, having parent workshops in the community. We did that as the Title I director. We had it at several different churches where we
mm,
went in and we met with the parents to talk about testing and what they could do to help their children. And they showed up. And
mm,
so we just got to, sometimes we have to move outside of our comfort zone and think outside of the box in
mm.
order to reach our parents. It's not that they don't want to come. It's that, like you said, they're doing so many other things that they need to make sure that we're thinking outside of the box to reach, meet their needs.
Right. No, all excellent points. And I think things that we definitely need to be considering as we move forward, because I think that, you know, COVID is going to, it's here.
And it's
And
going to have a lasting, it's going to have a lasting impact on our education system. So
ab-
we've got to think of ways that we had an achievement gap before. We're
mm,
going to have an even greater gap now. We had after school programs at school. So now we got to think about how do we have virtual after school programs. So
yeah.
those parents who are coming home in the afternoon, we can work with those students. How do we make sure that parents who worked all day, now that we got to come home, how can they help their students? We've got to have those things in the community, as I said, pods or afternoon sessions that parents can go back and review to help their students. You just got to think outside of the box.
So again, speaking of COVID, I understand that there were about 3 dozen or so teachers that resigned, according to the Tallahassee Democrat. I would imagine that some of the morale is low amongst the teachers. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, as I watched the school board meeting, and I've done that since the summer and all the task force, and I see every week, every couple time there's a school board, I see our teachers up there. They're scared
Hmm.
right now. They're right now that they're not being heard. They're not being listened to. I
Mm,
want to make sure that we're listening to them, that we are making sure that they have the resources that they need. As you said, we had about 30 some teachers to resign because because of health reasons. If we could have worked something where those teachers could have had an opportunity to do online teaching at home, we could have kept some of those teachers here.
mhm,
And I know with an already hurting population, I think we have to do everything we can to reserve those teachers because they are our precious resource. I think the paper today said we have 28 vacancies in our district right now, if I'm not mistaken.
mm,
So that's a lot of children that are being taught by substitute teachers who are already behind because we've been
right.
out of school so long. So what do we do to make sure that we are keeping all of our teachers? We've got to listen to them, give
Mm,
them the support that they need. And I think that's the biggest thing. Listening costs us nothing. And if
mm,
we listen, then we got to put a plan in place to make sure that we're moving forward with some of the things that they need. I've
absolutely.
heard them over and over. They were kind of the last ones and our administrators in this whole pandemic situation to be listened to.
Mm,
They were the last ones. So we got to think outside of the box. We got to make sure that we are giving teachers and our principals an opportunity to do their job in a safe environment, but making sure we are showing them the support and the compassion and passion that we all need during these tough times.
absolutely. Um, so Gabrielle Jackson, who I'm assuming is an educator, she said we have been ignored to date. So that's awful. And teachers do need to be heard because they're on the front line
Very
each every day,
every day.
every day. All right. So for those of you again who are just joining us, this is a virtual meet and greet with Dr. Pam Hightower. She is a candidate for Leon County Superintendent of Schools. and we have been talking about her platform and the issues that are important to her. Mainly, we've been discussing the bridging the divide amongst the children in the county. So, Dr. Hightower, you also mentioned, college not being for every student, there being some other options that are available to them, maybe doing a trade or something like that. I know computers aren't going anywhere. And as we now have to depend on them even more as a result of the pandemic and social distancing and whatnot, what role do you think technology will play, moving forward?
Technology is going to play a huge place moving forward. But I think we have to also remember that we have students who are going to need that tactile. They need to touch. They need to feel. Some of our ESC students, they need to have in hand. Technology is great. We all use a computer and they're going to need to use a computer. But I think our students, some of them are going to need the tactile. They're going to need to touch the book. They're going to need to touch the paper. So we got to think not only do all students are not going to be able to learn on a computer. So how do we make sure that we're meeting all of those needs? Students with 504 plans, students with ESC plans, to make sure that we're meeting those needs. So that means that yes, computers are they're the wave of the future right now. And they're the only way that we're able to communicate in some cases for those students who are learning from at home. I'm right now with my 5-year-old grandbaby who is a kindergartner. So every day I have kindergarten at my school, and she is very, very bright, and she can do a lot with them, probably as much as I can do with computer. But not all children can do that. So how do we do that? So we've got to think outside. How are we going to make sure that they have those things by sending the resources home, the textbooks and those things that those students who need to feel and touch can also have those resources at home, whether it's manipulative for math, the textbook that they're having, the resource books that they're using at school. Those things have also got to go home so that we can make sure we're meeting all the modalities of learning.
Okay, very good. So, you got the campaign going, and I know you still have a little over a month left to go. Are there any needs that you have currently?
Right now, we are working hard. We are financially, we are trying to raise money because we got a lot of things that we want to do. But I just need to get the message out. I want everyone to know what we're all about, what our plans are, what we're going to do when we become superintendent. So helping me getting the word out. My headquarters is at 1030 Lafayette Street. If you go to my website, there's a place that you can sign up, and we would be glad to have you come canvas with us, come stuff some envelopes with us, do some phone bank, whatever. We've got so much and we won't turn anyone away. So if you go to my campaign website, hightowercampaign.org, you
Okay.
go there, there's a volunteer button, click, and we would love to have you come by, get signs.
All right. So
And there's also a donation button there. If you want to hit that donation button too, we'll take
okay.
your donations.
Right, because it costs money, right?
Yes, it does.
Now, have you run for office before?
This is my first time.
Okay. All right. Hightowercampaign.org.
That's it.
Okay, got it. I'm putting it up on the screen now. So, if you want to find out more about where Dr. Hightower will be or what she has going on in the community, or you want to sign or to assist her in her efforts and her campaign, by all means, visit her website, hightowercampaign.org. So, as we prepare to wrap things up, again, any closing words that you wish to tell the people before we give them all of the dates that they need, as it relates to election and so forth?
I just like to say we're living in unprecedented times where experience, leadership, organizational skills, and decision making, and most of all, compassion and passion is imperative.
Mhm.
One of the most important jobs that a superintendent has is to make sure that all students are learning and achieving at a high level in a safe and nurturing environment, as I said earlier. And all of our staff feel supported. And I know that if we all work together, that we can achieve this. I'm the candidate that has had the boots on the ground. I've been in the classroom. I've seen up close and personal what our students need, what our teachers, what our administrators need, what our school needs. And I think working with our school board, schools, district employees, along with my record of instructional leadership and my service over 40 years, has enabled me to unify our district, instill trust, and lead our district becoming one of the highest performing districts in the state of Florida. So I ask all of you to join me, and then together we will rise, and we will, on November 3rd, go out and vote Pam Hightower for Superintendent of Leon County Schools.
All right. Very good. Very good. So let's talk about these dates. So we have a lot of dates coming up in terms of voting and registering to vote. So the last day to register to vote is October 5th, I believe.
October 5th.
Yes, October 5th. All right. I'm going to put that in the comments as well. So October 5th, last day to register. So for those of you who have not registered to vote, please go register. Leon County Supervisor of Elections Office will be glad to assist with that. All right, the next set of dates are early voting. So early voting runs October 19th through November 1st. So the Supervisor of Elections Office will let you know where those locations are that where you can early vote. So you can definitely go to their website to get that information, the early voting locations. But by all means, you want to take advantage of that. So again, October 19th through November 1st. I'm putting that up on there on the comments as well. And then the last date that we
Yes.
want to talk about, which I know you can't wait. What day is that?
November 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, November 3rd, go to the polls. Remember Pam Hightower, your next superintendent of Leon County Schools. I need your vote. I need your support.
All right. So November 3rd is gosh, I put that in the wrong place. But November 3rd is election day. So you definitely want to get out. If you do not early vote, remember Dr. Pam Hightower for Election Day 2020. And like I said, I know she can't wait until that day is come because campaigning is not for the weak. But she is strong and she is a proven leader that has definitely the right sauce, the right touch, the right things that we need to make the changes we need for Leon County schools to be successful. So all the best to you, Dr. Hightower. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you so much for being on this broadcast. And again, remember, hightowercampaign.org for more information on where Dr. Hightower is and how to connect with her and her campaign. All right, we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.